The Sweet Baby Inc. Defense Force has gained another member, ladies and gentlemen. The Verge can officially be added to this list. They wrote what was essentially a hit piece against Sweet Baby Inc. Detected and all the naysayers, the detractors, as they would say, with this title being The Return of Gamergate is smaller and sadder. You could tell they are just trying to put damage control out there to the max. I don't know what it is that's going on with gaming journalism at this point, but they hate us, guys. They despise anybody that wants to go against their narrative. They want to protect Sweet Baby Inc. at all costs. And this article that I just showed you guys, this was sadder than the Kotaku article that started it all. All right. They are omitting a lot of things on here. They're turning a blind eye and they're going la 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 because they want to push this growing narrative that if you're against Sweet Baby Inc., if you're against the narrative, that you're some kind of like weird bigot that hates people, right? So yeah, this is this recent article. This literally just came out within the last day. The return of Gamergate is smaller and sadder. And they're the ones wanting to use the term Gamergate, which is weird because on one hand, they're trying to push that everybody that's against them is some kind of bad person that wants to force the division. But then they're the ones in the media pushing this whole Gamergate 2.0 thing to play this victim card, right? So the author of this story, their last name is Parrish. The full name is Ash Parrish, and they apparently are a former employee of Kotaku, and that they've been in the game industry as far as journalism goes for the past 7 years. So they are a tenured writer when it comes to this stuff. Well, they're discussing the state of the current video game industry with the whole Sweet Baby Inc. situation. If you haven't been following, essentially they are a consulting company, aka sensitivity awareness training program for gaming developers to use and hire to include diversity and inclusion and LGBTQ and people of color in the video games. They work with games such as Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Spider-Man 2, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, just to name some. They'll be involved with the upcoming Wolverine game. And just to quickly recap, the too long didn't read, they tried to attack a Steam group that was making a list of games that Sweet Baby Inc. was involved with that was called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected. It caused a Streisand effect. That group has over 300,000 followers on it. They've gone viral. Elon Musk has tweeted out about it, and it's just backfired. Now they're being exposed for what they are, people that are trying to control the narrative. Well, this article basically was one-sided. This article by Parrish was absolutely one-sided. It omitted a lot of things about the situation. It left out important details. They didn't mention that there was that negative backlash against Sweet Baby Inc. because the staff writer, Chris Kindred, called for all of their followers to report and shut down Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, that Steam curation group. And then also there was a couple other members of Sweet Baby Inc. There was Chris Kindred, there was Lego Butts, and there was a few others. But on top of that, there's also a whole bunch of other people in the gaming industry that are journalists like Alyssa Mercante, Jeff Grubb, just to name a handful. And it's literally like they're conspiring together to be like, hey, we need to make sure that this Steam group gets shut down. This Steam group is being labeled as targeted harassment, but these people are the ones that are doing the harassing. These people are the ones doing the doxing. Think about it. A staff writer for a company like Kotaku or a CEO for a company like Sweet Baby Inc. trying to get all of their followers and supporters to report and shut down a public group that is using the right to freedom of speech only to label what games this company is involved with, just so the consumer can be well aware, hey, a company that pushes narratives and stuff that you might not be believing in and, you know, stuff on the woke side worked on these companies. If you want to steer clear, vote with your wallet, right? Guess what? Calling on your followers and saying, take this group down is harassment. So this article from The Verge that is on here, basically just left out all these details of the stuff that they've done. They failed to include crucial information of all the stuff that Sweet Baby Inc. and the gaming journalists out there that are doxing people, that are harassing people, that are trying to shut down and deplatform people did. It's basically, this reporting is biased and it's lacking any journalistic integrity, which, if anything, this whole situation with Sweet Baby Inc. has been showing that there's a lot of journalistic integrity that's missing when it comes to certain members of this. Instead of showing a balanced perspective, a very neutral article, Parrish is basically going on in this whole article, which gagged me with a spoon. If you look down, she's basically defending all the actions of the Sweet Baby Inc. staff and playing this whole victim card. Like, this is probably one of the saddest things I've ever read right here. There's a bunch of stuff in here that is just garbo, total garbo. And I want my life back for reading what the ad to say. Honestly, they're not considering the impact of their actions when it comes to what they're doing to other people. And that's why it's being compared to Gamergate from both sides of this spectrum. It's definitely sparking controversy. And anytime somebody's raising questions, they are trying to shut people down. I mean, just look at yesterday's video that I made talking about how Alyssa Mercante, who's the senior editor at Kotaku, and then Mike Diver, who's a fucking public relations guy at PlayStation, we're essentially trying to encourage people to deplatform RGT85 just for having an opposing opinion. It's important that journalists, above all, journalists themselves, they present all sides of a story. And I know it goes deeper than just the world of video games when you look at politics and the mainstream news itself with like CNN and Fox and all that. There's no journalistic integrity anymore. They just show one side of a story, and yeah, they missed the mark completely on this. So that's a little bit of the recap of what's going on. But there's been a little bit of juice in regards to this article. A Twitter user called @YourReadThisWR1 apparently spoke to Parrish in DMs regarding the whole, I guess, conversation that she was going to have on this article. They shared a whole bunch of DMs that are showing some juicy stuff. So if you look at the original post, it was in reply to Grums, who's been doing a great job sharing all this Sweet Baby Inc. stuff. They said that they had a genuine conversation with this journalist. Her motive for omitting Kindred's actions were at behest of the editors, saying they don't want to make it come across as being deserved. So they were encouraged to not mention anything that Kindred did. So you can see in this DM, Parrish says, I don't agree that Kindred calling for the report of the Steam list constitutes harassment. Getting rid of that list was a discussion forum, 100 pages of threads filled with terrible shit up to and including harassment. Getting rid of the list gets rid of that form. And you'll see now, Steam cut that shit out. Those forms are gone, or at least they were last time I checked, and the list is still there. Parrish is just obsessed with being part of this defense force, controlling the narrative. You can see that they said, I'm not going to fault Kindred for trying and halfway succeeding at getting a vector for harassment shut down. And they tried to go on full defense mode right here, saying Chris Kindred finds this list, asks folks to report the list and its maker, reports are filed, and Steam acts only as far as to delete lock the form. The list still exists. Cabretta's account still exists. This is where the story should end, and all in all, that's not really report worthy because it's an interpersonal conflict that ends in a stalemate. Happens all the time. But as we both know, the story doesn't end there. It continues, and what resulted of that interpersonal outpouring of the grossest kinds of bigotry that blew up so big, well, you see. He says, this is the story. I get that in respect of thoroughness and completeness, not sharing that Kindred started this as upsetting and feels like a lie of omission, but what does including it do? How does including that detail materially change the circumstances of the story? Let's be honest and real here. Not much. Putting in the honest truth and details about what Kindred did doesn't change much. To leave it out because it doesn't change much to the story, they are completely wrong on that. Omitting it plays the narrative that they are the victims instead of the people that tried to start it, the people that tried to report that stuff, the people that went after this group just because they made a list of their games. They are absolutely fucking nuts here. They continue to say, does what Kindred did with his tweet warrant the response he, his boss, his company, journalists, and sympathetic developers received? No, not even close. Hey, this sucks. Let's take this shitty thing down and the guy who did it. And the response was death threats. The inciting incident is on equal footing with what happened next, and it's so not. It's so not. So they're just scrambling for defense here. Taking a look at all the DMs in further question, which I'll leave a link down below to an article that exposes essentially this DM conversation. They are justifying why they omitted the truth about what went on. And this is another example of how media outlets like The Verge are running defense force. They're literally protecting and lying for Sweet Baby Inc. to control this narrative. And this is a problem. If anybody doesn't see that this is a problem of sorts, when a consulting company that is working in part with a U.S. government-funded company like Take This and Sweet Baby Inc. are, and they're trying to deplatform people and control this narrative and write these damage control articles, there is something bigger here going on, guys. And it is sad to see the state. They are the ones ruining the state of the video game industry, not people speaking up against Sweet Baby Inc. And you hate to see this.